Right, welcome back. I've now put the doors in. I've also put the windows in. You can probably just make out the cardboard planks that I made. I glued those to the inside. Did the same clamp trick with the doors with the cardboard sheet metal, and you can see that they're behind there like that. So I've just put that back in. I haven't glued any of these. They're all sitting in, even the side door there, they haven't been glued in. So I've just placed those in because they're quite tight. I've glued the roof down now. That's absolutely solid. See, I can actually lift the building. So I used the Gorilla Glue Clear for that. I used a touch of super glue at first. I put a touch here, a bit on the corner top, touch there, corner top, touch there. Let that dry for a couple of hours, and then I went round on the inside and the outside with a bead of the Gorilla Glue Clear, and that's held down perfect. I've also painted the cardboard on the top in the same colour as that. Whoops, dropped my bloody phone. With the Santex Microseal mid-stone. So that's that done on the roof. Once that dry, I've got my 5mm dowel and put some of the clear Gorilla Glue on there. I then got 2 pieces of cardboard and then used my filler pot on top of the cardboard to hold that down. I left that 2 days to dry. So I've obviously got to paint the dowel in. It's going to be the same colour as that. I thought it might have been a different colour, but looking at the photos of the scene, it's definitely the same colour. I've also sprayed some of my street bits. So you've got the satellite dish. I primered all these in the primer grey, painted that in the anthracite. I've then done the caster wheels for the dumpster, 4 of those. So I painted on the silver on the inner part first. Inner part on silver, let that dry. And then did with the anthracite for the wheels. The rubbish bin, I've just painted that in silver. And then the aircon unit, I've just primered it in the grey primer, and then I lightly dusted the white primer on top of that to give it like that whitey grey look. I've still got to detail the fan pieces, the fan grooves, trying to get this bloody thing to focus. But yeah, just got to paint all those in the inside of the indentations. I won't be mounting any of the only thing I'll be mounting, sorry, to the building will be the AC unit. I'm not going to do the satellite dish or the cameras. I've primed those in the grey, by the way. I'm not going to be doing all that until I'm actually ready to put the stanchion in its final position, the roof stanchion. So that's where I'm sitting at the moment. But yeah, the building's looking really, really nice, not bad at all. So next job will be to glue these casters in to the dumpster in those holes there. So that's where I'm sitting at the moment. Right, now my building's pretty much done. I've still got to glue all the remaining parts of my street set and the cameras, but I'm not going to do that until I finally position my stanchions and roof on the diorama. So with the scene where she pulls up to the gas station, the stanchion roof isn't a full stanchion roof. You've got the support rods, the support arms all across the stanchion roof, and you've got little bits of tin corrugated roof. There's only a few panels actually remaining because I reckon with the sandstorms and with the weather, while it's been abandoned, they've obviously all blown away, but there are still some corrugated sheets remaining. So my wife picked me up some round barbecue skewers, and that's what I'm going to be using for my support arms. So what I've done is I've got my pin file marked out where I want the rods to go, and then just went backwards and forwards, both sides, you know, making a little groove. Then my little barbecue rod, cocktail rod, whatever, will sit in those grooves. And all I'm going to do now is just glue those in. Once glued in, I can then do my corrugated tin sheets. And that'll be the stanchion pretty much done, because there's not much I've got to do to the stanchion. So let's see what happens once I glue these in and the glue dries. Right, welcome back. I've left the barbecue round skewers a couple of days to dry. So in each of the grooves I just dropped a bit of Gorilla Glue in there and then just rested them on. I didn't hold them down or nothing, and they've dried really quite stiff. So now that's dry, I'm now got my last bit of my orange corrugated card. That's what's left of the sheet. And looking at the photos from what I can see, because they're not, it's not 100%, so I've tried to do my best guess, because the photos are from underneath here like that, the actual scenes. Even the long shot when she shoots Stevie in the head with the the crossbow, there's not really much of a plan, so this is a bit of guesswork. So I've cut out all my corrugated card bits from the A4 sheet and just put them on there. I haven't glued them down or anything yet. I've got to primer these, then spray them in silver, and then do me weathering, much like the roof for the actual building. But yeah, just the various shapes. And like I said, just guesswork from the photos. I don't think it's going to be 100% accurate to the film, but it's going to be something. But from what I can see, that is what's left of the roof, with all the weather and the dry heat and the desert winds, and, you know, since the shop's been abandoned, the gas station's been abandoned. So I've got to take a photo of this now, so I know my layout, and then I've got to, like I said, spray these bits of card and then weather them. So the next time you see this roof, all them corrugated cards panels will be weathered. Okay, I finished painting the panels from the orange corrugated card into what they look like now. I'll explain that in the next update. So what I'm doing now is I'm gluing them down. So I've got my Mod Podge, and on top of the skewers where the pattern is, where the panel goes, I've just brushed some Mod Podge on, laid the panel down, and then laid it out in the pattern as it is in the scene. I took a mock-up photo with the orange panels for the positioning, so I know where to put them. And then, like I said, once I painted them and all that, they're gluing down lovely. So, as you can see, with all my Revel pots, it's holding it down while the glue dries. Now, on this centre one here, where it's quite a long panel, in the middle, it keeps wanting to pop up. The two edge ones glue down fine, but the one in the middle's popping up, and I've had to weight it down quite well, actually, with a couple of the pots and some of my electrical tape with a pot on top of that. So I've just got to wait, 24 hours for this to dry, and then I'll take the paint pots away, and then I'll show you how I painted it. So let's just wait these 24 hours now. Right, so the 24 hours have passed. I've took all the paint pots off and the electrical tape to wait, especially it was this one that kept popping up in the middle, and a bit in this one as well. But yeah, it's dried lovely, absolute dried a treat. Now in the scene, obviously before it was abandoned, all this would have been covered completely with the corrugated sheets, But obviously, since it's been abandoned, all the wind's blown them all away and all that like. And there's only a few left, so that's what I've done. It's not 100% to the film, but for the photos and the stills that I could see, this is what I think the pattern looks like. So basically, what I did is, where's that piece of cardboard? So do you remember when I did those on this piece of cardboard? So trying to fold this out one-handed. So I blue tacked all the fence panels to both sides, and then using that drip technique, and it dripped all the way down. You could see some of the in-between marks because there was a gap in between. I didn't do it as much as that. I didn't feel the need to. So I painted them silver. I used the Earth Shade Wash, the Citadel. I used the Null Oil. And then I made some wash again with the 251 Chocolate Brown from Humbrol. If you look carefully as well, you might see some of the orange still showing through from the paper itself, the card. But I didn't feel the need to go as heavy as I did on the roof. And if I turn this over, you can just about make out that I've just done the same again, but not as bad, well, not as weathered as that. But I've gone underneath as well. So I did the tops first, obviously, let that dry, got it to the way I wanted it, turned them over, one coat of each wash, and then just once that dry, then I just glued them down with the pots as you saw in the previous update. But this is looking really, really nice. Not bad at all. So now that's done, I could start a bit more work. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I've put some sandpaper on the base now. I took this board to work with my sandpaper, and I cut another board that I've got from work, and I just PVA glued it, and took a week to dry properly, because even though I'd weighted it down with some boxes of the 1,000 keys, it kept popping up here on the sponge as well as the sandpaper. But I got there in the end, so that's my sand base done. I'm waiting for some play sand to arrive from Amazon, so I can do me clumps of sand, as like I said, with the desert wind. It's blown sand up like a, like a snowstorm sort of thing. But yeah, but this is looking really, really nice as it is at the moment. So that's where I'm sitting at the moment.